So we're into our third week now of lockdown, and hopefully you watched my previous film about inspiration of photographing stuff around the house. I'm going to today try something outside the house. It's something I've not tried before. I've always wanted to try it, but I've just never got around to it. And you might, I don't know if you can see out the window, it's dark outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and shoot some star trails above the house. And it'll be a bit of an experiment because, well, two reasons. I've never done it before. I've shot the Northern Lights, but that's completely different. I'm going to try and get the star trails kind of circling the polar star or the pole star. So two reasons it's difficult. I've never done it before. And secondly, I'm not sure how much ambient light there will be. So I live in quite a quiet area, but there's still street lights. So I'm not sure if the street lights will have an impact, but I'm going to give it a go and see how it gets on. So the first thing I need to do is set up my camera. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up in the garden. I won't film outside in the garden because you probably won't be able to see me. But I'll run you through what the settings will be on the camera. So I'm going to set it into bulb mode. And then I'm going to set my ISO to about 640, I think I'll set it to. Just so, don't want it too high, but I want it high enough to pick the stars out, but I don't want the ISO too high that it picks up all the ambient light. And weirdly, you don't want the ISO too high because ISO alters the light sensitivity of the camera. You don't want to pick up too many stars. So you know, if you're in somewhere where you get a really good view of the night sky, if you set your ISO too high and then photograph the stars, you actually get too much starlight coming in, so you don't get the same effect. So 640 is probably about right. I'm going to set the aperture wide open. So I'll be going f4. This camera shoots at f4, so widest aperture to get the most amount of light in. And then I'm going to set 3-minute exposures. And the reason I'm setting 3-minute exposures is I want to get the movements in the stars, but equally, some people will go for kind of 30-second exposures and anywhere between 30 seconds and whatever. The reason I'm going for 3-minute exposures is because I don't want to end up with hundreds and hundreds of files, because I'll probably be shooting for about an hour and a half. So I'll leave the camera up shooting for about an hour and a half. And if I did it 30 seconds, because it's an experiment, I don't want to end up with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of images. So by doing it 3 minutes, I reduce the amount of images I'll have in the end. And this camera, the 5D's, got a built-in intervalometer, so I can set it to take a shot every second for as long as I like. I'll probably, this is a 17 to 40 mil lens. I'll probably just go to about 20 mil. F4, kind of 3 minutes a shot. And just leave it to do its thing. I'll take a test shot, so I'll probably focus maybe about 20 feet from the camera and see how that goes. And the final tip I would give is my camera has been in the house all day, so it's now at kind of room temperature. It's a clear night outside, so it's cooler. So the danger is you take your camera outside, start shooting straight away, and you get mist and moisture on your camera because of the change in temperature. So I'm not going to start shooting straight away. I'm going to, in fact, it's not quite, although it looks dark outside, it's not quite dark enough yet. I'm going to put the camera in the garage because the garage is cooler than the rest of the house. We don't heat our garage. So the camera's in the garage just to drop the temperature a bit. Then I'll put it in the garden. It's kind of acclimatizing the camera to the conditions. So put the camera in the garage, reduce the temperature, and then into the garden, reduce the temperature a bit more, wait maybe 10 minutes so that I don't get any dew or condensation forming on the camera, and then start the process. Hopefully that all makes sense. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I've got to find the pole star, which is in the north. and then we'll shoot, and then probably the next time you'll see me, it'll be at kind of tomorrow morning, and I'll be talking about whether it was a success or not, and then I'll process the images. So let's see how it goes. 12 hours later, sun is up, and as an experiment, I think it worked okay. Some things worked well, some things didn't work well, so some lessons for the future. I'll post the image right at the very end, and I have to say it's not the kind of best image I've ever taken, but as the first try, I'm quite pleased. Things that worked quite well. The star trails turned out quite nicely. I was surprised that there wasn't too much kind of light pollution in the sky, so the trails have worked out quite nicely. I think I chose a right ISO, so when I zoom in on the stars in the sky, there's not too much noise. The definition of the stars is quite good, and a little bit of noise reduction seems to have sorted that out. So it's quite, you know, good definition in the stars. I think choosing kind of 3-minute exposures worked quite well. So I left the camera out for just over an hour and a half, and I ended up with 32 images. If I'd done 30 seconds exposures, which I know some people are fans of, I would have ended up with almost 200 images. And if I'm honest, my computer would just kind of fall over if I tried to process 200 images in Photoshop at one go. So kind of the 3-second exposures, 3-minute exposures work quite well. Although I think I said when I was recording the bit last night, I was going to use the internal intervalometer on the camera. Well, I couldn't. Had to use the external one, so I've got a separate one because you can't set 3-minute exposures within the camera, so I use the external intervalometer, which is fine. A couple of things that didn't work so well. At one point during the process, for some reason the tripod slipped, so I lost about 6 or 7 images because you know, if you're taking those sort of images and the tripod moves, you're in trouble. So that didn't work. We've got a big window on our stairway, and there's no curtains or anything on it. And although I made sure the hall and the landing light were turned off, there was enough light seepage into that light to just completely blow that window out. So I probably, next time I do it, will take a shot exposing for that window as a base shot. But anyway, that's fine. And then the other thing that didn't work particularly well was the composition, but it was a first effort. So overall quite pleased. So I know I can do it. I know kind of the process now of getting the trails. I know how to process the image at the end. So the key now for success is composition and minimizing any sort of light from kind of windows and things like that. Oh, the final thing was there was quite a bright moon. So the moonlight lit up quite a lot of the house, which I'd rather the house was darker. So the moonlight kind of shining on the house made that quite bright, but you know, I can live with that. So overall, you know, a nice experiment, something to kind of play around with. I'm looking at the sky. I'm not sure we're going to have a clear sky tonight, but maybe next time I've got a clear sky, I'll try a different composition and see how it goes. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Just a quick experiment, and keep your eyes out for the next one. I might try something a bit more kind of in composition wise, something a bit more adventurous, but we'll wait and see. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Leave some comments, and see you on the next one. Bye.